Hey everyone, unofficial Amy Grant fan club here with another 5-mask Horrific Vision. This week we're going to do Stormwind. I'm using essentially the same build and gear as I did last week. In fact, the identical build and gear because I didn't get any upgrades last week. I may do Illyria as Frost instead of Unholy. I'll kind of make that decision when I get there. I've been messing around with Frost a little bit and I think that would be fun. But for the most part, everything else is the same, so we can just start the run and get going. Stormwind, I think people initially thought it was harder than Orgrimmar. I've kind of always thought it's significantly easier for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't think there's those same risk of having gigantic sanity losses that you face when you're doing Orgrimmar. And I also think that the potions stand out a little bit more. Looks like we've got our bad one right there. And so I think it's, for that reason, I think it's substantially easier to make sure that you don't miss free sanity in the form of potions. So I've always kind of thought it was easier. I respect the difference of opinion, though. I don't think there's one right answer on that. I understand for casters, the Mage Quarter can be fairly nasty. And for Death Knights, it's in particular not that bad because of Death's Advance. We really can't be slowed that much. This week we do have Leaden Foot, which I think is a relatively easy one to deal with because I'm a Death Knight and I can't be slowed that much, but I understand a lot of other melee hate it. So yeah, not much to say here in this first area. It's very straightforward, very easy. I'm just going to confirm that was green is the bad potion, yes. That means red is sanity. There's a red pot right there by the stairs. We'll grab that before we leave the quarter. Is this guy here? He is. Yeah, I mean, I like Stormwind more. I think it's easier. I think it's the bosses are more interesting. They're less annoying than someone like Rexxar. The last boss is the problem. I think Illyria is much harder than Thrall, especially for melee. But at the same time, I acknowledge that that's why we have DPS specs, and Unholy in particular has a pretty good amount of ranged abilities that can help deal with Illyria, and I think Frost does too, although I really haven't played a whole lot of Frost. I mean, I don't see why it would be any different. I guess there's nothing like Death Coil, but otherwise, same thing. Passive dot, that'll tick on her. Getting some nice TD procs here. Clearing out these guys is another one that we didn't really need, but that's fine. So we're going to go ahead and clear out this whole starting area. We're going to get all the chests. I actually have enough mementos for a socket right now, but I haven't purchased one yet. I'm debating between buying another socket, which is probably what I'll end up doing, or saving up for the mount as a good TV proc. I want the mount, but I also don't care that much about it because it's not like a noticeably different looking mount than the ones you get from, you know, Nyalotha, or excuse me, from the weekly quest leading up to the Nyalotha release. The daily quests in Uldum. But I still might do it. I buy it anyways just to kind of complete the collection. There's one more chest I haven't seen. Wasn't really, there it is. These first three always spawn in like pretty set locations. Another reason I like this. I have an easier time finding all the chests and not missing them. Okay, so we're gonna do, I think, a pretty standard route. We're going to start here with the, I can't remember the layout of Stormwind, whatever quarter this is. Dwarven District. I can't be expected to know Stormwind. I've only been here a handful of times. I've played Horde almost the entire time I've played this game. I am playing, well, not really playing, I do have an Alliance character in Classic. Our guild decided to go Alliance in Classic, but I kind of abandoned him in the mid-50s, so I never really got comfortable with Stormwind.
They're stockpiling weapons for N'Zoth's armies in the Dwarven District. We have to
So Dwarven District is super straightforward. I usually do it in about 2 pulls. Go ahead and plant this bomb, and I'm going to pull a whole bunch of mobs, including probably the mini-boss, to the center area. We've got the stupid fire jumping. It's not such a big deal. Get used to it. I like to grab all of these. I may have grabbed the mini-boss, I may not have. But this is kind of like where I like to stop my first big pull here, and that's a great Twilight Devastation proc. Nice to get another one here. So far, no luck. There's the mini boss. Said, I think one of the things that makes this area so much easier than Orgrimmar is there's just less risk of having like a catastrophic event wipe out all your sanity. That happens to me, you know, like what happened with Rexar last week. That happens in Orgrimmar, but there's no real ability for that to happen here. So I think that's primarily why I find this to be significantly easier. The Mage Quarter, there is an opportunity for it. The sort of the spitting mini boss can kind of cause that to happen if you're unlucky. But I haven't had that happen too many times. And even when I have, usually I've still got my cheat death going into Mage Quarter, and it's not the end of the world. It is nice to keep that cheat death for Illyria, because Illyria, things can go pear-shaped fairly easily. But if I don't have it, I don't have it. We got a black pot over there. That's Breathe Fire. I'm going to go ahead and grab that just to make sure I keep... this stupid yellow mobs, I didn't even notice them. Make sure I keep that ticking and don't get the running on fire debuff. I'm sure it'll happen at the most inopportune time. This is not the mailbox. The mailbox is right over here if you're still doing the mail muncher. Usually there's a pot over here. There's a sandy pot. Don't really need it, but I'm going to grab it anyways. I'm never coming back here. And if I could just get over this, like, keg. I don't care if I get stunned. Yeah, not a big deal. I wonder if that stun is affected by the orc racial. I really don't know. I don't see why it wouldn't be, but I haven't tested it. Been thinking about switching back to orc. I've been race changed to undead. There's another sanity pot. I can grab that too. Don't really need it either, but why not? Careful here because I don't want to jump into those extra mobs I don't need, although that's not a big deal if I do. Like with Orgrimmar, this is not really challenging anymore, and so you can just kind of take your time with it and be chill and not really freak out. People doing this at rank 10 cloak, I'm sure it was a lot tougher back then. But since then, there's obviously been significant changes in the form of both higher cloak ranks, but also the sort of the choose your own corruption system now that is resulting in just absurdity, especially in the arena. So got to finish planting the bombs. Here's one more, and then I'll press the switch, and then we'll take out the boss for this area, and we'll move on. One thing you can do wrong in Stormwind, and I will be striving not to have this happen this time, but it has happened to me in the past. That's a great spot for that blood to land, or for that fire to land. Is you can goof up the third quarter I'm going to do by not freeing all the prisoners. And I've done that before and only found out when I went to go open the chest at the end. And that is not a good feeling, to get to those chests and find out that you didn't actually complete the 5 mask because you forgot to free a prisoner. Hoping that won't happen this run. I will be pretty diligent about it. You only have to have that happen once or twice and you kind of learn your lesson. So that's Therum Deep Forge. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the next quarter. So I would say this is my least favorite quarter. I know most people probably hate the Frost or the Mage Quarter. I think this quarter here that ends with Matthias Shaw is my least favorite. The enemies here will snare you with I think it's like a poison. I think it's supposed to be rogues. This thing is supposed to be crippling poison. That's really obnoxious. And in addition, the Matthias fight is incredibly annoying. It's not really dangerous. I'm not ever really that worried about failing it. I'm not sure that I ever have, but I hate it nonetheless because it is an incredibly annoying fight. The mechanic is awful. I took 1 tick of Blade Flourish. I normally do, unfortunately. Not usually very good. I'd really like a Twilight Devastation Blast here to end this. Before this, yeah, I'm stuck in here. This sucks. This is going to drain some sanity, unfortunately. We'll survive. Split personality again this week. Split personality and Leadfoot. Hate them both an awful lot. I've never even noticed this guy before. I don't know what that did. Split personality is total horse shit, as you can see right here. I absolutely hate this madness. But what are you gonna do? It's worse here in Stormwind because of the narrow streets. We're gonna go in here and go to kill the bar. the bar guy, because why not? We're gonna hope, really, really hope for a good Twilight Dev proc here, which means we probably won't get one. I'm realizing now that I forgot to change my trinket so that I would be using the Drestigath trinket. Not a big deal. I don't need it. Definitely is like another level of I always thought this guy's name was Dad initially. Maybe he's some famous Stormwind NPC, I don't know. It's not critical that I have the Drestigath trinket. It definitely is a little bit more damage, which is certainly more important than the survivability I get for my sigil of warding here, but yeah, I made the mistake, and I'm just gonna, I guess I could change it. I'll change it now. Would have liked it for that pull 30 seconds before I can use it. That's fine. And just split personality is just obnoxious. It's not as terrible without the fear. When you have it and the fear, it's pretty bad. This would be another great spot for a Twilight Devastation, which means we probably won't get one. I mean, maybe we will. You never know. Looks like we won't. Not being very good about keeping my bone shield charges up. That's okay. You don't have to play really great in here. So it is, sometimes I'm able to get through this entire area without using an orb. And today it looks like it might be one of those times, thankfully. Other times I have to use an orb here, and it's not really a big deal because I find this is not a terrible place to use your first orb before the Matthias pull. But right now it looks like I should be good. I'm actually not sure if I've ever done Stormwind entirely without using an orb. I don't think I have. Because usually I think Illyria is troubling enough for melee that I normally just end up using one on her, just to kind of try to protect myself from having a bad outcome. And I managed to get stunned there, but then he died from my dot, so everything's okay. So here's Matthias, who I really, really hate. I don't think Matthias is, like I said, particularly dangerous, but I think he is incredibly annoying. And things, if I can get a couple of procs like that, this could go quick, and then that's a good thing. It's like really like one more proc on him like that. Just kind of end this fight now. I just have to keep repositioning him to avoid the eyes. That's a good proc. I'm into that. One more. Let's see if I can get lucky here. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay. And that's Matthias Shaw. We are in good shape. We're at full sanity going into our next district. Like I mentioned before, this is the one that I've messed up before by just not freeing all the prisoners. And I'm going to do my best to not do that this time. And I think that's going to hold me in combat, so I'm going to go back and kill these just to make sure I don't get stuck in combat. We're having a great run. I would hate to get trapped in combat and have that ruin it. The Breathe Fire here potion is, I wouldn't blame you for not taking it. It frequently ends up being more harm than good. A lot of times it'll cause your sanity, immunity state to proc off of rats and things, and that's not a great outcome. Okay, we got this mini boss up too. This is good. I like this one. It's easy to get to. I don't even know what this guy's gimmick is. We are doing good. stupid burrowing appendage. It'll come here, and then I can finish it. How did that hit me? Yeah, whatever. One of the advantages of playing as Blood is that you don't really have to worry about dying. I can't see anything. Okay. So I'll probably pull almost the rest of the zone. Unfortunately, I got my sanity immunity proc at exactly the right time, a wrong time. I like to have that up for the mini boss here that does the channeled sanity damage. But it's not the end of the world that I don't have it for him. And it might be back up, who knows. I think a lot of guides will tell you that it might be worth like even just kind of sitting around to have it up for him. I think that's, you know, probably not necessary. At least not anymore. Maybe it was when this was like cutting edge content. But I'm just not getting a whole lot of Twilight Dev procs, and so as a result, this is kind of slow, and I may very well have it up again. See if there's any good pots around here. There's a sanity pot. I'll go ahead and grab that. There's 2. Yeah, this is we're getting sort of a cupcake run here. Lots of sanity potions. It's very good. Not going to complain. We'll just kind of take our time. We should be able to get an immunity proc right off of these guys, and then go ahead and take that into the mini boss if we're lucky. That's a good outcome if we can get that. Just waiting for it. Fishing. There it is. Okay, so now we're going to pull the Inquisitor, and then we can ignore Agonizing Torment, and that's nice. It's very nice. Would have been nice if I'd aimed that TD a little bit better, but that's okay. There we go. Like I said, we are really having like I said, a cupcake run. I'm hoping things don't go pear-shaped in the Mage Quarter. I don't think they will. So this guy is really annoying because he does his chains thing at set health percentages, and if you get lucky and you get you know, a couple of TD procs, you can kind of just skip them. But otherwise, you know, you have to deal with them, which is not the end of the world. It's not a big deal. Especially the jumping thing can actually be used to help you there. But also as a Death Knight, you can use Death's Advance or Wraith Walk to avoid the mechanic entirely. Like if I turn on Death's Advance here, which I'll do just to show it, like he can't move me. You're entirely immune to the pull effect. And he's down, and so now the main thing is to remember to get all of these prisoners so that we don't end up accidentally doing a 4 mask, or even not a full clear, not even a 4 mask. So it's 3. This one's next. I don't really care about those healing potions I'm seeing. That's obviously poison. Don't want to drink that. And I kind of, you know, like I said, I'm a little annoyed by Breathe Fire in here because normally it'll go off randomly. This is the mailbox for the mail muncher, and just trigger your immunity off of killing a rat or something. And that's pretty annoying. That's happened to me many times. It also will get you into combat with those pustules, and that's also pretty annoying. Okay, and here's the other chest, so we can make sure you get that. And that's 3 sectors down, 3 districts down with no orbs used, and still with our cheat death. Pretty close to full sanity. We'll be at full sanity after we kill a mini-boss. This is pretty good. Going pretty well. Okay. So I really don't want to breathe fire right here and get into combat with these tumors. It's happened to me many times. Didn't happen there. Good. Okay. Hopefully I can break this combat. This is where Leadfoot is really annoying. But we're going to go ahead and keep pushing through it. Once I get past these guys, I will use Death's Advance to get to where I want to fight these mobs. That'll make me immune to Leadfoot for a second. And then this is kind of where I tend to clear the first sort of clump of mobs in this area. Getting a lot of Twilight Death procs. Big problem here, of course, is that you can't see through the grass. It's not uncommon, unfortunately, in this game. Projected textures don't seem to work real well. But we're okay. We're in a good spot. Once this goes down, I like to do over here to the left first and get this portal keeper. Get him out of the way. Mini boss is a fine choice for your first target in here. I don't blame you if you do the mini boss first, but I like to get that portal keeper done before I go to the mini boss. Now I'm going to go to the mini boss. Got a few more seconds of sanity loss immunity. And I save my kick for when he's cast Rain of Fire so that I can get him out of it. Right like that. Because the Rain of Fire will drain your sanity. And you don't want to get stuck in that purple explosion either. I can't move him right now, which is annoying. Okay. We're back over the Horrific Figment threshold, so that's good. Is there a sanity? If there was a sanity pot over here, I'd say we've died. And there is. Oh wow, we are very lucky with the sanity pot spawns. All in very accessible locations, all very clearly visible. You know, I've done this a lot, but I have not memorized all the pot spawns. But I have a pretty good sense of where most of them are. Purple, that's healing. Eh, why not? I think that causes the stun later on. Probably worth the risk. It's 5 minutes, so we may get it the rest of the time. These ones I tend to pull down to the next eye stalk, and then I'll go ahead and use Death's Advance to get there. And then this is kind of like I do this one relatively small pull here, with the intent of getting ready to use an orb pretty shortly hereafter. Normally I will use an orb for this mini boss here. I still may, I don't know yet. I haven't really decided. I'm really doing well on sanity. I might be able to get away without doing it. But I would want to save. Well, let's give it a try. What's the worst that can happen? So this one, the key, and I just take a 30 sanity tick right after I say that, is to not stop moving. That's hard because of the lead foot, unless you're a Death Knight, and then I'm disoriented, and I'm going to take a bunch of stamina or sanity ticks here. That wasn't great, but we're going to be okay. He's going to give us a bunch once we kill him, and we can use an orb if we have to. Probably will soon. Definitely before the mini boss, or the section boss, but not a big deal. Things happen. Nothing, you know. Perfect runs exist, but I'm not expecting to get them while I'm sitting here trying to talk. But we are almost certainly going to end up using an orb. This will not be a no orb run. Probably could still pull it off if we really wanted to, but I'm not trying to do that. To risk the real reward, which is getting this done. Oh, there's a sanity pot there. Oh, man. It's making me think, can I get to that without getting into combat? No. Got into combat. Well, we can bring this guy over to the portal keeper over here. Kill him with them. Although I think I'm in combat with those stupid cysts too, so this could end up blowing up in my face. Guess we'll find out. Drop combat, or am I going to have to go kill those zits? I am still in combat. I think my blood bug guys are decided they wanted to kill this tumor, and it's just holding me in combat. Although now I'm out, so maybe not. Okay. Well, we are still in a position where we could probably get away without using a potion, or without using an orb before the boss, but we're going to do it anyways. How am I back in combat? Is this... Oh, it's a figment. Okay. Well, I want to get this chest anyways. That disoriented again. is going swimmingly. Run's falling apart here at the end. No, we're gonna be fine. Just a relaxing 5 mask. Nice and low stakes. We've got all of our orbs. We've got our cheat death. We're gonna use an orb before this mini boss. I hate split personality so much. It is the absolute worst. And then we'll go to Illyria, and we'll have an orb before Illyria if we want one. And we'll have our cheat death for Illyria if we want it. And there's another disorient because I couldn't see the purple edge because of the stupid "you're low on sanity" graphic. It's okay. I'm gonna drop our orb here. We're gonna get all of our sanity back, and everything's gonna be fine. Okay, Magister Umbric. Another one that I think Death Knights have a pretty good tool for, which is AMS. I'm going to pull him back so that I'm still in this orb, and I kick the Entropic Missiles even though I was going to show off. The orb kind of is a good counter for it. It's going to do the Tainted Polymorph, but I can use AMS to avoid that. And I just wasted my Jessica, or my Drestigath trinket, because I'm an idiot. Luckily, we were lucky with split personality there. It was kind to us. So Leaden Foot is really annoying here. But less annoying if you have Death's Advance, which we do. Not a big deal to lose this sanity because we're going to get it all back from him when we kill him. It'd be much worse to end up with that polymorph. Well, not much worse, but worse. I think it's worse. Don't quite have Death's Advance up, so we're going to be slowed a little bit here, but we'll still be able to move at 70% movement speed. Now, well, so none of this really matters because we've got an orb for Illyria. And we're going to get enough here that we're not going to get a Figment. Okay. So now we have Illyria, who is, like I said, the only really part of this that I find to be even kind of threatening. I definitely have lost to Illyria before. Not recently. I'm gonna go ahead and do this as Frost, and because we have some time to kill, I guess we could wait for this to come back up. We don't have to, but I'll go ahead and explain sort of my build. It's a PvP build: Inexorable Assault, Runic Attenuation, Asphyxiate, Frozen Pulse, Permafrost, Gathering Storm, and Ice Cap. And I have 3 ranks of Icy Citadel on my Azerite gear, and then one of the various other, or one of Frostwolf's Indignation, one of Echoing Howl, and then I have Trade Winds, which I think is pretty good for Frost.
Father, do not listen to the whispers.
Okay, I'm not super great at Frost. I have not really played it that much outside of just messing around with it. So I can't promise this is going to go great, but we'll see.
No.
I'm not that worried about it. I'm going to go ahead and use an orb, and then we should have an immunity proc at some point in the fight. And this is not going well right off the bat. Oh man, there's the polymorph. That's okay, because ultimately it's not going to matter. We have a cheat death. And the worst case scenario is we use that. That's pretty bad, but not the end of the world. Now we're immune to sanity loss. Can't see anything on the ground. Getting some pretty good uptime there for a second. He's doing Void Eruption again, of course. Darkened sky in a straight up unreachable area. I don't know. Oh, that eye is ticking on me. Seriously, I don't know what's causing that. Plenty of Void Eruptions. I'm glad she's got that spell memorized. And we're probably going to end up using the cheat death, but that's fine. That's what it's there for. Oh, never mind. Didn't need it. Okay. That was sloppy. Not a great exhibition of Frost. Like I said, I've only been messing around with it a little bit, but we still managed to get through there without using our cheat death. Did use 2 orbs. Probably only needed 1. This chest, for some reason, always loads in last and always freaks me out that I screwed up and forgot to do one of the areas. Like I said, I opened this big one last. Makes it more like Christmas. This is my first of the week, so I will get additional corruption resistance on my cloak. Melee veterans contract there, and let's see if we get anything good. Probably not. We got gloves with Twisted Appendage 1, so that's pretty terrible. Critical strike haste. Could find some use for that. All right, so that's probably going to end up getting sold. Okay, so that is the Heroic Vision of Stormwind 5 mask as a Death Knight. This time I did Blood and Frost. I hope you found it informative, and thank you so much.